Okay. And again, thanks. My name is Kayla Hogrefe. I am the Assistant Director for Education and Development with the Office of University Compliance. And you're joining us today for what we call one of our State of Compliance events. So just a 30-minute quick presentation with some great takeaways on the university brand standards. And joining me is Christine Balestrini, who is the Associate Director and works with branding for UConn, and I'll let her introduce herself in a few moments here. I just want to go over a few housekeeping things before we get the presentation underway. Feel free to use the chat feature if you have questions throughout the presentation. Kim Hill, our Director of University Compliance, also on the call with us, will be handling the chat. And if we have questions come in that might be pertinent to the whole group, she'll share those with us throughout the presentation. I'll pause and we'll take some questions to make sure that we get them answered for you. We also have a few questions that came in through the event registration form, which is great. So we'll make sure that we get those covered as well. There's no presentation for today, so no slides. We're not going to be sharing a screen, but we do have a really handy document, like a guideline document with some key takeaways on branding that we'll share towards the end of the presentation. And if you miss it, it's no worries. We're going to follow up with an email to all UConn employees with some of the takeaways from this presentation, and we'll include those resources there for you. I think that's it for housekeeping items. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your work with University Communications.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kayla. So I am Christine Balestrini. I work over in University Communications. I'm the Associate Director of Branding and Visual Identity. And I'm a UConn alum. I'm from the School of Fine Arts, and I have 20 years experience in graphic and web design. And I've been at the university for 13 years and have been managing the brand in various degrees since we rebranded in 2013. So it's been a really fun to be part of the branding journey and play a strategic role in how we have evolved the UConn brand. I'd probably say in the last 10 years, there hasn't been a single work day that has gone by that I haven't thought something about how our brand functions. So how can we make it better? What's appropriate? Is this the right approach? Is this actually going to work? And then somewhere in between all of that, I get to actually design and make things come alive.
That's cool. Sounds like a cool job. Can you share a little bit about why university branding is important?
Yeah, sure. That's a really great question. And I think we want to start by talking about what is branding. So branding is the process of creating a strong, positive perception of our institution, right? So we want to make sure that our branding is creating loyalty with our students, prospective students, alumni, faculty, staff, parents, legislator, donors, etc. We want to make sure our branding has a clear, consistent message. We want to make sure that we're connecting emotionally with those stakeholders. And we want to make sure that through all of that, it's confirming our credibility. And once we have all of that in place, now we have the buy-in, right? Everybody's buying in. We say we're awesome, we can back it up. So now that we understand what branding is in a very broad nutshell, why is university branding specifically important? Branding goes so much deeper than just a logo and some brand guidelines on visual representation and tone. That we're really just scratching the surface on that. But it's the value that we place on the logo and the brand guidelines that are imperative to the strength of our brand. It's essentially the foundation that we can then build off of. That helps us maintain and expand our successes. Ultimately, it's going to elevate our institution. It's of the utmost importance to develop and maintain a distinctive and consistent brand identity through our overall branding strategy and visual guidance. And this is all going to build and strengthen our brand equity, allowing us to capitalize on our quality that we offer here at the university, our perceived social impacts, our innovation, our research, and that stakeholder investment. Students, prospective students, parents, alumni, donors, right? Employees, we all need to be part of that brand and believe in it.
It's like a challenging undertaking with so many different UConn programs and departments to present that unified and consistent branding voice, I imagine.
It's not easy.
Yeah, so we're grateful that you're here to cover some of this with us all. What are brand standard guidelines? I guess is the way to start that question.
Yeah, so brand standard guidelines or brand standards or brand guidelines are a comprehensive documents that outline visual and verbal elements of our brand or the tone that we're trying to convey. They provide guidance on how those elements should be consistently used across communication channels, whether that be web, social media, print, how we voice out ourselves to the media, but also maybe more importantly, how they should not be used. So in an essence, they're just a set of rules and recommendations for maintaining a consistent and cohesive brand identity across the university, no matter where you are.
So they are for all of us.
They're for all of us. Yeah. So anyone involved in representing the university, whether it is a marketing communications group, whether it's designers, web designers, IT folks, faculty, staff, students, even our external partners and how they talk about us and how they represent our brand in connection with them.
And Christine, are these guidelines like rules, like policies that we have to follow, or are they just suggestions?
They're rules. I wouldn't say we go so far as to say they're hard, fast policies, but they are rules. Those rules get broken and now we start to devolve our brand, right? And we lose all that brand equity that all of us are working so hard to build up in our specific areas.
Yeah. If anybody wants to peek at those brand standard guidelines as we're talking about them, Kim, just put a link in the chat for everybody that you can open and check out what exactly those brand standard guidelines are that we're talking about. I'm also going to take this opportunity to pause to see if anybody has any questions they want to put in the chat about what Christine has discussed so far. I'll start us off with a couple questions that we got from the event registration. One of the questions is, I see other departments making flyers for students and parents when visiting. Can I use a teal or blue in shapes on a flyer to make information pop?
Yeah, you can do the rules there are few that are really important, and then there's a lot of flexibility in there. So as long as you're not putting the UConn word mark on a color that's not associated with UConn, so not UConn blue, not white, not gray. Shades of blue are okay within reason. Yeah, you can use different colors. You can use shapes to make things pop. I would recommend if you're going to be using shapes and color to make things pop, like be selective so that not everything is popping and then therefore now nothing pops. So just be kind of like smart in that approach. But yeah, of course.
And then another question we got preemptively was, does communications have approved PowerPoint slide templates with UConn or UConn Health logos, or can you otherwise assist with developing slides?
Yeah, currently we have a few different templates on the brand site under downloads for PowerPoint templates. We have both UConn and UConn Health. So those are already there. I think we offer them in 2 different sizes. So we have them in standard format and wide format. We may solely be in wide format now. We have plans to offer updated ones, revive these, and offer more options. And we will be soon moving these over to SharePoint so that they're much easier for folks to access and add more templates to the library for people to use. And then the SharePoint aspect also gives us a level of security too, that it's locked down to UConn people only, and it's not out there for the public use, which is our case right now.
That's great. I just want to point out,
answer the second part of that question.
yes.
University Communications does not typically assist with developing PowerPoint slides.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to check the chat. We have a few things coming through. PowerPoint. Do you have PowerPoint templates for like specific campuses like UConn Law?
We do not.
We do not. Okay.
We do not currently have those. No.
Okay. So they generally.
It's the top level UConn or UConn Health. We don't dive into schools, colleges, regional campuses, or department levels. Now, some schools and colleges may already have offerings in their communications websites. I do know that the Ag College has a pretty robust offering of materials for their folks over there. I'm not sure about everybody though.
Okay. And in the chat, Kim copied and pasted the link if folks do want to check out those PowerPoint templates. They're available again on the brand.uconn.edu website, and the link is there for you in the chat. So I don't see any other questions at the moment. So I'm going to continue with our questions here. Sure. Can you talk a little bit about frequent issues of non-compliance? So what are some things that you want folks to remember to not do?
Yes, yes, we do see some of these. So I would say the most frequent issues of non-compliance are not giving enough safe space to the word mark. So whether it's the high level institutional word mark or departmental logo, getting it very like crammed in with either the graphics on the postcard or flyer or just kind of wedged into a corner. We want to make sure that our word mark has enough safe space around it to feel comfortable. Also, word marks on non-UConn colors. So I kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier with the designing with different colors. We want to make sure the word mark is on a UConn color, so white, navy blue, gray, and make sure that it's not on any busy background so that it's distracting and taking away from the brand. The usage of the Husky dog logo or trying to make an imitation Husky art to get around the Husky dog logo. We keep the Husky dog logo pretty tight, and it's locked down to only athletics. So if you are not part of a Division I athletics team or athletics, we can't use the dog. Incorrect logo or word marks being used. So we see these, they don't happen as frequent as they used to, but we still see them sliding through the cracks. Sometimes people will create their own logo for a department or a laboratory, and that's just not appropriate without approval. At the core of it, we're all part of UConn. And so we need to be putting that foot forward. So it just really ends up diluting the UConn brand and weakening that brand equity that we're all working so hard to build and grow, especially with the, pushing out research and elevating ourselves beyond our athletics pull.
Yeah, it seems like a common theme is just remembering that simplicity is really key in like designing some of these communications materials and like not trying to jam too many things in and too many colors and just keeping it simple.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is that it's trying to put too much on a page to get all of the words in there. I think a really good practice is pick your key points and not necessarily have to elaborate on those in a small space. You can always push them off to a website, put a QR code on a flyer, give them more information there instead of just jamming everything together where it feels a little bit too busy and now it's very hard to convey your message.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we talked a little bit about some resources that are available, and Kim has been putting some links in the chat. One of the more recent links that Kim popped in there is the link to the color guidelines, which I think will be very helpful. I do want to talk about some other, I see a question coming through in the chat, but I'm going to review that while you talk about some other resources that the UConn branding area has.
Yeah. So we have lots of resources. Brand.uconn.edu, which has already been shared in the chat and different pages, is the main source of our brand guidelines and standards. You can find anything there about our word marks and logos, vehicles. We just deployed a new email signature generator a few weeks ago. How to order stationery, co-branding guidance. That's something that we've added within the last 6 months. Particularly, that's really pertaining to co-branding within the institution. So if it's multiple schools or colleges, multiple departments, how do we represent that without it becoming a literal UConn soup where it's UConn, 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 UConn? How can we simplify that and make that look much nicer and not take up so much space? And then if you can't find what you're looking for, you can always email brand@uconn.edu. That typically comes right to me. So you can also reach out to me directly. Other resources are communications person or a team within your school or college or department if you have one. If you're not sure who that is, we have a list of communications liaisons on the brand website under contacts. We have a list of those folks there that you can reach out to. University Communications also offers university design services. It's a free service to university units. This is not available for students, and that can be found on universitycommunications.uconn.edu. We have a whole page dedicated to it. You submit a form, and if it meets our criteria, we will certainly do those services for you. There's also the daily digest. Within the last year, I've added a daily digest UConn branding section to just kind of utilize it in a way of gentle reminders. Hey, the UConn or the Husky dog logo, remember it's only for athletics use and here are the reasons why. Or I launched the co-branding. When we updated the co-branding guidance, we pushed that through there. The email generator got pushed through there. So I really want to use that channel on a monthly basis or so, just to keep these small bits of branding at the forefront of people's minds, so it's not becoming lost in the daily shuffle and just becomes habit versus like, oh, I need to think about this. Just instill it in what we're doing every day. And then, as I had mentioned, I'm working on building out a UConn brand SharePoint where I want to have a catalog of all the logos that we have created through the department level, school and college level. One of the things that I have found over the years that it's kind of like frustrating in a way that a department will have a logo. It's asked for. Somebody leaves, that one person is the only person in that unit that had access to that logo. It's on their desktop. They leave and now the department doesn't have a logo. So we'll get a logo request for it. We immediately think, oh, hey, we don't have that. We'll go to start creating it and then realize that we have it. So if we can share those out to the whole community where they have access to them, that changeover happens. You just go to the SharePoint, you grab your department's logo, and everybody has that access to it. And then we can put templates and everything else up there too. I think that's the majority of the resources that we have.
Yeah, and I will also plug the branding team here because you guys are super responsive. And I had one of the designers help me with a template for Constant Contact, and it was like, I mean, I don't know that this happens all the time, but it was within like a few days, a beautiful Constant Contact template that fit brand standards, and so I was really appreciative of that. So. Just turning back to the chat here, we have a really good question and a really good answer for a previous question. So for the person that asked about PowerPoint templates for other campuses and specifically UConn Law, somebody answered in the chat that UConn Law's communications department does have a PowerPoint template, so you can reach out to them for that resource. And then this is a good question. I am in a unique major. So this is an employee who works for the MEM program, which is part of both the School of Business and the College of Engineering. most of the time when I create documents, she gets feedback that she's not included both the School of Business's colors as well as the engineering school's colors, as well as both of their word marks. It gets very busy to include more than one word mark. Do you have any advice for how to navigate that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's a unique situation for sure. I would say, I guess it all depends on the piece and how that's being presented. Um, Say it's a brochure, on the back of the brochure, right? It's a tall, skinny panel. You can put both of those logos next to each other. Or we could set you up with a template for co-branding, since we do have a co-branding option for schools and colleges. Obviously, we want to make sure that both the School of Business and the College of Engineering would be okay with that approach. But please reach out and like we can talk through it. The colors thing could be a little bit more difficult, but I do think that business incorporates orange into their color palette, so that probably helps a little bit. So I hope that answers your questions. That is a sticky wicket, but I think there's ways to clean it up a little bit so that it's not feeling so busy.
Yeah, and it's great that you're willing to like work one-on-one with folks to navigate those
Oh
very
yeah,
unique situations. Yeah.
absolutely. For those of you that don't know, I've also been doing these brand trainings across campuses, across campus. I've even traveled to regional campuses to do these, where it is way more extensive than this. This is really a conversation and kind of a top level dive into the why we do these things and why it's important. Um, but what I tell my groups that I go out and meet with is I would so much rather talk to you one-on-one, figure out what the problem is, what are we trying to solve, work on it together. University communications never wants to say flat out no to somebody. No, you can't do that, and then walk away. We want to be able to listen, understand the problem, provide you with a reasonable solution that meets your goals and the university's goals, and hopefully land in a place where everybody's happy, and then give you the tools to be able to carry that forward and keep basically, advocating for yourself, your department, to move that forward in the direction that the university's branding is heading.
Gotcha. We do have another question in the chat. I just want to clarify one thing before I put it out there, but I think I can ask it. So there's one participant who generates reports that are joint sponsored by two UConn organizations or departments. Is there a specific order of where UConn's logo should appear on a cover page?
On a cover page, is the question asking which department or unit should go first?
I think so. So the departments are DMHAS. Department, I don't know what that stands for, so or and the School of Social Work. I'm sure somebody in the chat will tell me what DMHAS stands for.
I would say if it's a school and a department, the school should come before the department. If it's two departments or two schools or colleges, I would put them in alphabetical order.
That's great. Oh, Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, so it's not a UConn agency.
Yeah, and those would need to be, they have different looks, so they would need to have their respective space. So maybe UConn on the left, put a little space between, and then put the Department of Mental Health Services.
Yep. Addiction Services, yeah. Okay, great. I'm going to just pause for like 10 seconds to see if we get any other questions in the chat. And then we have 5 minutes left. So do you want to just summarize some of the key takeaways? And while you're doing that, Kim is going to pop into the chat a link to a flyer that has a lot of the key takeaways from what we discussed today so that folks can print it or save it to your desktop and refer back to it. And then again, we'll email this all out in a couple days after the presentation as well, so that you can refer back to it. But Christine, if you wouldn't mind just summarizing some of the key takeaways from our discussion today.
Yeah. So the key takeaway, the takeaway sheet is really a nice one-sheeter. You can print out, put it by your desk as a reminder of like those top level rules, like the size of the logo, safe space, the color palette, fonts that are available. Those just really basic reminders that we want everybody to keep at the forefront of their mind. And then really the key takeaways from just this discussion here is that while we are all so busy in our own zones, like I totally get that, like we are just moving 110 miles an hour in our own zones, wearing multiple hats all day, every day. And sometimes I think the greater mission of where we're working in the university sometimes falls to the wayside. And to just keep in mind that while we may be working in our individual units, there is the greater university and the greater UConn that is part of that, and to always keep that in mind, and that brand integrity, that UConn brand integrity, is what gives all of our units so much more strength.
Yeah. We did have one last question for you, Christine, come through. When we create a graphic that has the logo of an outside organization in addition to UConn, do we always have to run that by the branding team first before we put that out there?
So the graphic is incorporating two different logos in addition to some artwork.
When we create a graphic that has the logo of an outside organization in addition to UConn.
I would say if there's a question, you should always ask.
Okay.
Because if there's a question,
two separate logos. The person clarified 2 separate logos.
2 separate logos. I would run it by us just in case, just to make sure that it is being used appropriately. And Kate, like to kind of back up what Kayla had said about working with our office, we do try to respond really quickly. If it's a clean and easy answer, we will get back to you within hopefully a day or two. I know I have that really bad habit of keeping my email open and being like, oh, I can answer this really quick. And then, 10 emails down the line, my day is done and I didn't get anything done. So it's really easy to just shoot a quick email. Hey, does this look okay? And before it gets too far down the road, we can help you adjust it if it needs to be adjusted.
Okay. And then last but not least, is there a way to get your department specific logo in the email signature generator?
No, we're doing it just at top level.
Okay, great. Any further questions that folks have, since we're running up to time, please reach out to either me or Christine or brand@uconn.edu. And before you go, actually, when you go, when you click X out of the webinar, you'll be directed to an internet web page that has an evaluation of today's presentation, and we would so appreciate your feedback. So if you don't mind, it's just 5 questions, and we'd love to hear back from you. But otherwise, thank you again so much for spending part of your day with us, and don't hesitate to reach out if you ever need any questions answered or any assistance from Christine.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.